The existential belief of politicians in Nigeria is that power must be captured from the opponent at all costs and with whatever means, though democracy as an institution is expected to possess an antidote that would enable it to fight for itself, but the level of manipulation from the politicians and other stakeholders is detrimental to the development of people's government in Nigeria. Many a times, the political parties involved in an election unleashes weapons of destruction on each other, leading to the deaths of their members, destruction of property, while democracy itself suffered adverse effects. Down the lane, the Operation Wetie in Western Region in 1966 and the 1983 election debacles in Ondo State became a tripod of violence in Nigeria. These two election calamities are not unconnected with the hard stance of both the ruling party and the opposition party supporters to settle their squabbles on rigging the elections in favor of one side. What we experience these days, where thugs have taken over, is a latent manifestation of how our politicians have subjected the election processes into a do-or-die affair. While the law enforcement agents look elsewhere during voting, the parties and their agents of destruction turn democracy into a blood-sucking institution. Looking for solutions, we must know the causes. JITOG TV sought the views of many Nigerians across party divides in order to confront the albatross headlong.
Talking of election violence in Nigeria, it did not just start. It has started even in the First Republic, during the time of AG, NCNC, whatever, and all those parties. Because it is always the belief of the Nigerian politician that they must win at all costs, which it should not be. I believe that the game should be played according to the rules. And why Nigerian politicians resort to violence is that they don't give the opposition any chance, even in his own territory. If, for instance, I'm contesting against you, I always have the belief that I'm more acceptable in your own domain than you yourself who owns that domain. And eventually, if the election is done and you win your own domain, it is the belief that I have been rigged out. And every Nigerian politician believes that election is rigged, even if the opposition truly wins. And I want to believe that they having this kind of attitude because of their own character too. Because most politicians in Nigeria today, they rig elections to come into office. When the late President Yaradua came into office, he is the only politician in Nigeria who has owned up that the election that brought him into office was not clean. Yes, he said it, that the election that brought him into office was not clean. So I think our politicians should learn how to play the game with the according to the rules. Let there be a level playing ground. Let them be tolerant. They should know their strengths and weaknesses. They should know that in this area we are strong, in this area we are weak. And I think what they should do is to make sure that they work towards winning in a very clean manner. And some of the things that also cause violence is our language of campaign. The language of campaign matters. In Nigeria, most politicians don't campaign with issues. They try to destroy the opposition. He has done this, he has done that, he has done this, he has done that. But they are not telling the people that this is what we want to do for you. That man built 10 roads. We want to build 200 roads. That man built 5 houses. We want to build 5,000 houses. These are issues. That man has not been able to solve the electricity problem. We will solve it. These are issues that people should campaign with. Not to be saying that one politician has 10 wives. That's his own private affairs. Even if he has 30 wives, as long as the women are not complaining, it's not a political issue. So people should campaign with issues and not with sentiments.
I think violence in Nigerian politics is as old as Nigeria itself. And it's actually a shame that now we've not been able to find a solution to it. So I think the desperation of the political actors and the attractiveness of political offices are the major factors that are responsible for the escalation in political violence in Nigeria. Then a lot of our political leaders and participants have shown a high level of irresponsibility by making reckless statements. And these are part of the reasons that encourages this sort of actions from our youth. For example, elections are not supposed to be a do or die thing. You are supposed to market yourself, market your candidate to the electorate. If the electorate want him, they vote for him, he gets into office. God so good we have a window of 4 years. If in 4 years you are not able to impress people that voted you into office, come back another 4 years to seek re-election. If you have done well, people will vote for you. If you have not done well, people will say, we want someone else, let's try someone else. But because of the desperation of our people, they want to hold on to the offices after betraying the trust of the electorate. This happens almost everywhere in Nigeria, almost everywhere. So I think we should, as a matter of urgency, try to find a solution to this, or else I'm afraid for the future of this country.
One of the prominent reasons for, or one of the prominent causes of violence during election, after election, pre-election, is the desire for politicians to win at all costs. And what that means is that they're ready to do everything to entice the youth, because no adult will want to go into it. When I mean adult, I mean adult from the age of 15 and above who don't want to. They've been able to entrench poverty into the people. And because people live below the poverty line, they use that against them. So I think one of the basic causes of it is poverty. Another one is youth exuberance. Many youth think that going close to politicians mean a lot to them. They have a stake, but they forgot that they do not have any stake. The moment they are used, they are dumped. And that means they have to rethink. The other one is parenting. A lot of the families today don't have time for their children. And so they allow their children to go wayward, thinking that money is anything. Now, when we were growing up, our parents used to talk to us on certain things that we don't need to do. But I think today that is falling apart. So many parents, we are after a search for money, search for gold, search for wealth and things like that. And we forgot the real thing, to raise our children, according to the Bible, the way they should become, so that they will not depart from such ways. That also leads them into politics at a very early stage on a very negative level. They are asked to go out, kill, snatch, for us to win. So I think that, and then the media too is not helping matters. The media need to sensitize, especially youth, on what it is to be into politics. What you will get if you go through violence, especially during political era like we are having now. The media is not doing enough in that respect. They need to have proper media sensitization and media education, especially when it concerns voting processes, electoral process, so to say. So I think that the moment we get our hand all over this, we will be able to stem it low, or to bring it out to a level that we can control. As it is today, it's difficult to control because we've allowed our youth to take charge when it comes to target during elections.
Violence during election is an heinous crime to our society. It's so prominent, especially when an election is coming nearer. It's not just on the day of election. politicians find a way of circumventing the process by recruiting criminals, thugs, and even genuine people to engage them in this act of criminality. It is quite unfortunate. Some of the causes has to do with the desperation. Most politicians see elections as a do or die. This is an unfortunate statement. And also when you see a sitting president who has once said that this coming election is a do or die. I'm talking of a sitting president then. So you could imagine an average politician what they are likely to say. So I want to believe it is the politicians themselves that are recruiting most of these people. But at the end of the day, they will be telling us that they are not. Why not such criminality engages before election or when the election is not in process? It has to do with the fact that they are the one deploying this process to circumvent the process, election, because they knew they are not likely to win. If you have a policy that you can send to the electorate, there won't be reason for engaging in violence, recruiting young youth into this act. And equally is unfortunate on the part of our youths, who often than not, they know that most of these politicians at the end of the election have a way of coming back together. The damage they've done to themselves, some people get killed in this process. But the man you are fighting for, at the end of the day, will find a way of coming back to be friends, the person he contested against, that recruited you. So I will equally appeal to our youths that they shouldn't indulge, they shouldn't allow politicians to engage them into all this act of criminality. If any politician is asking you to go into this, you should ask them, what about your son? What about your children? Let him lead us. But the causes, generally, it has to be lack of information and poverty. Lack of information, enough adequate information on the part of our youths, that politicians are only recruiting you for their own selfish gain. It has nothing to do with you. It has nothing. Governance shouldn't be a do or die. If the electorate appreciates what you are selling to them, I believe they are going to vote for you. A situation where they are not going to vote for you, you should equally accept it. But often than not, they don't accept it. They rather want to destroy the process.
The trend of violence during elections in this country is very worrisome. Very worrisome. Unfortunately, it's a trend all over Africa. Anytime there is election, there is violence. I will try to x-ray, we'll try to find out what is the reason for this. We'll find out that public office is too lucrative in this country. Those who aspire to serve probably have behind them most times what will enter their pockets far more than public good and public interest. So much so that the people now see the public office as do or die. It's either I get this office or I'm dead. So it makes competition for the public office very stiff, and in the process, those who can get it by fair means will resort to violence to achieve what they want. So if, for example, a councillor in the world who was probably a vulcanizer before, the moment he becomes councillor, he is a big man. And nobody talks to KBS, he talks to everybody the way he likes. Supposing that job were to be part-time, that only when council is sitting, that he goes to sit, and he gets sitting allowance, and comes back to his vulcanizer job, he will know that, in fact, nobody will contest, nobody will be interested. But the moment somebody who was quote unquote nobody becomes a public office holder and immediately becomes somebody, he begins to build mansions, he begins to change his cars, he begins to marry new wives, and the people are seeing him. So, was not this more of yesterday that is like this now? It will be nice for me to enter the office so that I can be like him. So this is the major reason for which there is so much violence. 2, there is a large mass of youths that are unemployed. There is a great number of able-bodied men and women who should be engaged and are not engaged. They are jobless. So it is easy and it won't take anything for you to mobilize 10,000, 15,000 youths with a very little amount of money. So this one will enable them to say, okay, if I'm at home, I don't have anything. If somebody just give me 10,000, somebody just give me 20,000, why would I go and do what he wants me to do? So there is a nexus between the opulence that public office holders display in the face of abject poverty. We have seen senators who went home to their places of their constituencies, and the people stoned them. They run away with the big jeeps that they bring them. How can you be driving this kind of jeep in the midst of so much poverty? One is not promoting poverty. It's not the case that those who assume public office should become paupers. They should be promoting poverty, to use zero-based words. There must be that kind of seeming balance between the life they live, the lifestyle they live, and the society they represent, those places where they came from. So these are the issues that have brought violence to the fore in Nigerian politics, not only in Nigeria, but also elsewhere in Africa.
Generally, Ondo State people, they are peace-loving people, but they hate shootings. Ondo people will respect your opinion, and they want that respect to be reciprocal. Actually, there shouldn't be a violence in political terrain, but in a situation where one are trying to lord him or herself, or try to support the will of the people, naturally the people will react angrily. But if the atmosphere is conducive, there are three organizations that are critical to election, and these people, their conduct and activities will determine whether the election will be peaceful or otherwise. And the first is the INEC. If they can live to their name of independent, if people can see them, they are truly independent, and they are fair, and they are giving equal opportunity to all the parties, then there won't be violence. But in a situation whereby they are giving a preferential treatment for one political parties against the others, it is natural people will react, and they will react angrily. And the second reason is the securities. See, what really happens in election is that the international observers, they focus on the city, the urban center, and this fraud is being perpetrated from the rural areas. So, and this thing cannot be done without the aiding and abetting of the securities agencies. So, if the security agencies also maintain their impartiality, that is their balance, naturally there will be a peaceful election. And the last one is always be the government in power. The government in power believe that they have the monopoly of everything to themselves. So if we don't want a violence in Ondo State, these three agencies should be cautioned.
If we want our democracy to grow, we must allow the choice of the electorate to be made freely and respected at all times, without any form of manipulation from either the government or the politicians. Also, our laws must be proactive enough to ensure justice to all parties, such that the perpetrator of election crimes cannot go unpunished.